Howdy, hey, and welcome to Brews with Bae. All right, so this week's episode is part 2 of the social media fast. I am obviously recording this after the fact. I was at the beach last week. Do I look tanner? Because I feel like I don't look tanner, and I really wish I was. So cue the fake tan, because that's probably what's going to happen soon. But this is part 2. So I'm recording the intro, recording a little recap over what was in part 1. If you haven't listened to part 1 already, go back, listen to part 1. And if you don't feel like it, then I'll do a quick recap in just a second. But first things first, things that I'm loving right now. Number 1, Monopoly deal. I don't know about you, but at the beach, my family, we don't have a plan. We know the spots that we want to eat at for sure. Outside of that, we've been going to the same place for a very long time, so that also helps. We've been going since I was little, so we know our spots for the most part, but typically we don't really have a plan. We did plan what days we were going to go play pickleball, and by plan, I mean we figured out what days were open play, and the night before we decided if we were going to go or not. So we did play pickleball. My mom and I play games every night. Okay, backtrack. I love Monopoly. I have always loved Monopoly. It is my favorite game. It's been my favorite game since I was little. However, most people don't like Monopoly because it's too long. Honestly, I don't know how you win Monopoly. I don't know how that game ends, other than I think we used to play until somebody ran out of money, which I don't think is actually how you're supposed to do it. But I loved it. I would play for hours if I could. I would be totally content with that. Other people, not so much. They don't really love that. But it was my absolute favorite game, still is. I actually saw a really beautiful board at a boutique while we were down in Florida. And I looked at my mom and I was like, if you need something for my Christmas list, you can put that down. Anyway, I've always loved Monopoly, but I have seen people talking about Monopoly Deal. And so I was like, maybe I should try and get Monopoly Deal. It's a card game version. And on the box, it's 15 minutes. That's how long it says it's going to take. And it did, or less. I think the better we get, the more strategic we get with it, it might last longer. But yeah, it's a quick game. It's still got the Monopoly vibe. I do kind of wish it went longer. But as a whole, I really love that game. It requires a lot of strategy, a lot of thinking, and it's just a fun game. And it actually has an end. I'm sure Monopoly, the real Monopoly, also has an end to the game. I just probably have never read the instructions to find out how you actually end that game. But Monopoly Deal, so much fun. We had a great time. We played card games. We played Monopoly Deal. Sky Joe is another one. It's a lot of fun. If you've ever played golf, not with a club golf, but the card game golf, it's kind of similar. But anyway, things that I'm loving right now, card games. Monopoly Deal specifically. It was so much fun. We just my dad even, who doesn't like games most of the time, we got him over there in the first round. He was like, what the heck? Because it is kind of confusing your first round or so. And once he caught on, I was like, I know he's gonna like it because he's really business minded. He's gonna like the strategy in it. And sure enough, after round 1, he was like, oh, okay. But it was a lot of fun. What else am I loving? Okay, I said this in last week's episode because I talk about it in the social media fast episode, so I might mention it again in this part 2. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. I finished that book. I gave it to my dad to read while we were at the beach. He also finished it and liked it. So good. I highly recommend it. Also, side note, I have shopping links if you want to shop anything. My friend said, she was like, you should make a storefront or something and put your coffee mugs on there. So I'll link both of those in the show notes. So if you want to get either of those books, I have those links already. And then I'll try and start putting my coffee mugs. This one I won't be able to put on there, but I'll try and start putting some of the coffee mugs that you can find, or similar ones maybe, for you to shop if you want. I don't know. You might not want to, but anyway, things that I talk about, I'll try and put on this one list so that you have one place to look for all things Brews with Bae links. That being said, coffee mug and coffee for this week. I need to go get coffee. I do have regular coffee, but it's trash. It's the cheap stuff and not good. I have decaf coffee, which is what I opted for because I also have a sweet tea waiting on me. That will have caffeine in it, so I'll be fine. But I opted for decaf because it's also the middle of the day. Anyway, coffee mug. This is the thing that actually matters. It is this really freaking cute. You can't really... I wonder if I can do this without spilling it. Okay. It's you see, it's got a hole up here, and then it's got a little barrier, and then a little hole for, I guess, a straw, but I'm using it as a drinking hole. And it's a ceramic tumbler. And it's got little turtles all over it. It's so stinking cute. I got it at the beach this past week. I'm obsessed. I have been looking for a coffee mug like this. They have them on Etsy, and I need to just go buy one on Etsy. But I saw this and I was like, okay, I need that. But I am obsessed. I think it's so cute because I like to take a real coffee mug when I go places. I don't want to take I don't want to take the typical travel mug because I think they're kind of ugly. I want a cute coffee mug. And I usually did that. People at the gym in LA, when I used to go to a gym, I would bring a different coffee mug pretty much every week. Or not every week, oh my goodness, every day that I was there, I would have a different coffee mug in hand with my coffee, and people would make fun of me. Well, not make fun of me, but they would just laugh, and they would be like, you have like a real coffee mug. That's weird. But I loved it. I think it's because my friend Abby, she used to bring a real coffee mug to church in college. She probably does not even know this, so whatever. But it always stood out to me that she had like a real coffee mug with her at church. I thought it was so strange, but I was also like, props to you because I love coffee mugs and like I want to show my coffee mugs off. Otherwise, I drink out of them at home and nobody gets to see them. I think they're so freaking cute. So I loved that she took them to church, and so I was like, I'm going to be bold one day and I'm going to take it to the gym. And it kind of fits perfectly in my car. Like regular coffee mugs fit perfectly like in this corner spot in my console. Anyway. So now I bring coffee mugs everywhere, but I need one for church because I'm a little afraid at church. We have like fold out chairs and I feel like I would break and or spill a coffee if I brought a regular coffee mug. So I feel like this is my solution, like the little travel coffee tumbler that's ceramic, because then at least there's less of an opportunity for you to spill it. I don't know. I'm obsessed though, and it's got little turtles on it. Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, I got it at, I think it was like the Shops of 30A or like, I don't know what it was called. I'll have to look it up, maybe. I'll have to see if I can find it. But anyway, this is my cute little coffee mug and I'm obsessed. Also, it's St. Patty's Day today, so I'm in my green. I also have my green little Dooney and Burke bag, which like also is something that I'm loving. I know Dooney and Burke isn't technically like as popular as it used to be back in the day when I was little, but they have some really cute colorful purses and I bought one and I wear it all the time. It's a little shoulder bag. I'm obsessed. And it wasn't that expensive, but it's good quality. Anyway, I'm obsessed with it. So I was like really all greened out for St. Patty's Day. Hey, hush. Mr. Hank thinks somebody's coming inside. Because he wants to go outside, I think. We're going to do a quick recap. So without further ado, here's the recap from part 1 if you haven't done it. I talked about the experience. I felt like I was missing out. I felt a little awkward and I felt a little lonely. I go into these things way more in depth in the first episode, so I highly recommend, but I'm giving you the recap assuming that you listened to episode 1 so that you kind of, your memory's jogged, you know? You're not having to go back and figure it out. Your memory's jogged and you're ready for the next part 2, you know? Okay, so that's the experience. Habits that I realized I had. I spent a lot more time than I realized. Crazy. I also found that it was a way of coping and or numbing, which is a little scary. I also got annoyed when people interrupted what I was watching, which is absolutely disgusting, and I hate that for myself. And then also messaging people or commenting on their posts instead of actually reaching out in real life. It's kind of cringy. Things that I learned during that process was like feeling lonely was really just because I had a false sense of connection through social media. I also realized that if I wanted to know what was going on in someone's life, I actually had to reach out to them, which is like a novel thought. I mean, like who would have thought that you would reach out to anyway. I could go on a tangent and I've already done this once, so I'm going to try not to. Things that I gained was another thing that I talked about. So I noticed more people. I had more opportunity to engage with people in real life because I wasn't staring at my phone. I had more time, which if you think you don't have time in your day, I challenge you to take away social media, TV, online shopping, whatever your thing is, your Candy Crush game or Bubble or whatever it is, whatever the popular games are these days, take that away. See how much time you get. I had more time. So I had more time to rest, to read, to crochet because I'm a granny, and it was absolutely lovely. I was more productive and I was able to focus more in prayer time and work and all the things. I had less anxiety and overstimulation during the day, which was a dream, and ultimately more joy. That's kind of like what that came from. I think the more joy was also because of not having as many opportunities for comparison and being fed negative things. Maybe I was living in ignorant bliss. Is that all that bad? I don't know. I wouldn't say do it forever, but like maybe. Honestly. It was such a joyful, peaceful time and I loved it. And I have noticed a difference already being back on. So now I've been back on for, how many weeks is that? 7, 14, 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. And I can tell a difference in my day-to-day and how I'm like acting in the way that I feel. I can tell a difference. Not all bad, not all good, but anyway, I can tell a difference. So there's that. But without further ado, this episode, it's the part 2, so it's just a continuation of last week's episode, but I'm going to be talking about how I plan to implement these things going forward, like what I've learned, things that I gained. I'm going to try and talk about how I'm going to implement that going forward. Have I done any of that yet? No. Well, kind of. But a lot of the things that I talk about in this week's episode are going to be things that I'm still actually working on and trying to figure out how I'm going to actually put them into practice in my life going forward. And then I also talk about how you can start doing this if you want to, or ways that you can maybe try it out. Also just tips and tricks that I have if you do try to do this. So, which I do highly encourage for anybody and everybody. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to do a social media fast. I do not think you will regret it. I think I say that in this episode, but I don't think you'll regret it. And I fully encourage you to do it. I think that's it for the recap and the intro and all the things. Sorry if it's a little all over the place. I feel like I can't speak real words. Maybe it's because I haven't had enough caffeine today, because all I've had is a little bit of Folgers and it was watered down. So, and I don't really know how much caffeine is actually in those. I need to get more coffee beans. That needs to be a priority for me. But anyway, yes, I also have links to the resources that I talk about. So everything is linked in either the description box or the show notes or whatever it is. Anywho, without further ado, I hope you enjoy the episode and stick around for next week because it's going to be fun. Thirsty Thursday. Remember that. But it's coffee. So we're just drinking coffee over here. Okay, so moving forward, kind of where I'm going from here. One, I would fully recommend this for anybody and everybody. If you want to try something like this, I would say start small if you need to. I would say try and do a week though, because I feel like one day you're probably only going to feel the more negative effects of like, oh, I just felt really lonely. I felt like I was missing out. I felt like I was bored or whatever the case may be. I feel like the longer you do it, so like if you could do it for like a week or do it for like a full weekend, you'll start to see the positives. Transparently, the first couple days are a little difficult because it's like you're going from being so connected, so engaged with what's going on in the world, in your community and all the things, to kind of like radio silence to some extent. And it's a bit of a culture shock, almost a shock to the system of sorts, to not have all of that at your fingertips. And it takes some getting used to, also realizing like, oh, I'm gonna actually have to like go out in the world or like reach out to somebody to have a conversation with them. I will say I got better about texting people back quicker. I got better about responding. Voice texting is my new favorite thing right now, like voice memos back and forth. New favorite thing. I feel like I was better about connecting with people, but it did take a few days to like get, I don't know, it's like you're almost like having to wean yourself off of social media, which sounds so bad. It's like a drug. It really is. But anyway, I would recommend everybody do it. I think you will gain something from it. I think you will love it. I don't think you're going to get done with it being like, man, I really missed all that time that I spent scrolling. Like, you're not. I promise. Maybe I don't promise, but I really feel like I would be shocked if you were like, man, I missed out on getting to be on social media for the last week. Like, I don't think you're going to do that. But like I said, I would recommend doing it more than a day. You could start small though. Like, you don't have to do it for a weekend. Like, do it for a full weekend and see how much more present you are and how much people are not. It's kind of crazy. But if you need to start small, I would say do it for like a weekend, do it for like a week. Don't just do it for a day though. I would also say if you need to start small, you could do like no duplicate screens. That's something that Darren Whitehead talked about in the sermon series, and he probably talks about it in the book. I haven't read the book, but he talked about not having two screens at once. So like if you're watching TV, you're not also scrolling on your phone. If you're on TV, you're not also playing a game on your phone. If you're watching TV, you're not also on your computer answering emails. If you're on your computer, you're not also having social media out. No more than one screen at a time. So I think that's probably a good way to kind of start. No phone at dinner, no phone on a walk. So even if you can't go a full weekend, try just putting your phone away when you go grab dinner with a friend, or when you go grab dinner with your family, or if you go for a walk, try just like putting your phone in your bag and not touching it, and just see the effects that it has, and just like the things that you notice if you can't do it for like a full day or full weekend. But I do think you're going to gain a lot more if you can do it for a longer period of time. Wait, okay, we're going to go back to these suggestions in a second. For me moving forward, I will say these are kind of like my takeaways and what I'm going to do going forward. I do want to continue this in some capacity. I was honestly a little nervous to get back on social media afterwards. Like, I was excited leading up to the day. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to be on social media this weekend. But then I was like, ooh, I'm a little scared because I don't want to get caught back into this cycle of just like scrolling and just wasting time. Like, I don't want to be that kind of person. And so it was this weird like catch-22 almost of like, I'm excited to get back on, but I also don't want to go back to my old habits. And I think it's so easy just given the way that it's designed to go back to that. So I did have a bit of a fear to get back on, and I have not been on very much. I unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, because I am somebody who is fairly creative. Like, I have a music project that I'm doing. I now have the podcast. I just like to be creative. If you want to do it in any capacity, I'm not saying that it's going to be like my full-time job, but it's just a fun thing to like try and put out into the world. Like, you put these things out into the world because it means something to you, and it's something that you want to say, or it's a story that you want to tell, whether it's music, whether it's a podcast, whether it's just social media as a whole, like content creation in any shape or form. You're putting it out there for a reason. Same with artistry. Like, if you're a painter, there's this girl that I freaking love, Barebone Art. If you need artwork, my goodness, it's so pretty. I like got my first piece from her this like holiday season, and like at Christmas I bought it for myself and for a friend of mine, and I love it. I'm so excited about it. But anyway, if you're creative in any capacity, unfortunately or fortunately, that means you have to be on social media if you want anybody to be able to see it. I'm not saying that I'm just trying to get everybody in the world to see it, but like, I'm putting this out there because I believe in it. And I think there are things that I've learned, things that I've grown from, all the different things. And so that's why I'm doing this. Like, I wouldn't do it I'm doing it because I like want to be creative, but I feel like I have something to say, you know? And that same goes with like my music. I feel like there's stories that I want to tell, and some of the music that I've written and created, it's things that I think the Lord's given me, like a story that the Lord's given me, or just like a way to get through a season of life. And unfortunately, the only way to do that really these days is through social media. It's not like somebody's going to like find your thing and be like, oh, I'm going to put all these marketing dollars behind it. It's really, you got to have the social media following beforehand. So sadly, that means I have to be on here to some extent. And apparently the algorithm doesn't like post and ghost, where you just like post and then leave. I'm probably still going to do that because, again, I'm just like nervous to get back into the habits that I had before. But yeah, so I'm still trying to navigate what that's going to look like, because like I said, to some extent I have to be on here. Also, as a side note, like, if you have a creator that you like, whether it's a musician, an artist, a podcaster, or just a content creator as a whole, like an influencer that you like, engage with their stuff. Like, it goes such a long way. I'm not saying that you have to engage with mine, but I'm just saying if there's somebody that you really like what they're doing, engage with their stuff, because it matters. It helps push things out. It helps with, I know with like influencers and stuff, I'm not an influencer, but I have friends who are, and I have also like worked on the business side of that, and it matters. Like, your engagement matters. And so if you like something that somebody's done, like the post, like the video, leave a comment, share it with people, like, do something, engage with it in some way, because it goes a long way. But that's a side note. Okay, so something that I'm actually going to do, I have not given you anything that I'm actually going to do. So I am intending, so like yesterday, I didn't get on at all. It was Sunday. My plan is to still have at least one day a week where I'm not on social media at all. I would kind of like it to be like the weekend as a whole. But then anyway, we'll see. But definitely limiting my time and still having like a day to fully decompress with it. Kind of a Sabbath of sorts, but also including social media as a part of that, because I feel like I don't do a good job of like actually having Sabbath, like a day of rest. But the Lord does it. He tells us to do it. Like, if he did it after creating the world, how much more should we in our humanness have Sabbath? So I'm trying to be better about that, but I think social media will be part of that as well. Just like really taking time away and just being present and in the moment, especially on a weekend. I feel like a weekend day is one that I really want to make sure I'm not just like wasting my weekend scrolling on social media. So that's why I kind of think maybe the full weekend, maybe it'll just be one day a week. I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of my thoughts for now. No double screens. Like I said, that was something that was really convicting and just really eye-opening for me. And it's definitely not going to help with my attention span if I'm on a bunch of different screens. So something for me will be like used to if I was working at like background noise. And so I'd like put something on TV just so I could hear it. But I'm not going to do that going forward. So no double screens, no like scrolling on Instagram or online shopping while watching TV, or just no two screens at once. I guess texting is a little different, but like if I'm texting, I should probably like be focused and intentional about what I'm saying. So like I probably don't need to be watching something in addition to that. So anyway, no two screens at once. I would like to make a point to not have my phone with me with family and friends, to just be really present. I got a new camera for Christmas, and so I'm like, I just need to start bringing that when I go places, because I still want to document things. Like I do love the phone for that reason. Like I love to be able to like take videos, take pictures. Like I like it. I like to document seasons of life. It's fun to look back on. But I'm probably just going to try and start using like my actual like good cameras for that. Or something that I have been fairly intentional about for a while now, but I want to continue to be, is 9 times out of 10, something happens. You're not going to see me post about it on my story for like probably a few days, or at least like 24 hours. And if it's like a real post, it's probably going to be like a week or longer. Like I remember when I was driving back from LA to Nashville last year, I went to my friend's wedding in April, and her sister-in-law was like, I was wondering if you were going to make it to the wedding, because like you're still put, like I'd posted like day 3 of my road trip across the country. And so it was like, I mean, it wasn't that much later. It was maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, but like I was like really behind in posting anything. And that was more so because it just like required me to like look through all my content. But when I'm with people, well, one, I'm trying to be better about just like posting and not caring, like not trying to like curate it in any form or fashion. But a lot of times I would just think too much. And so I don't love to post in real time, because I want to be able to be present with the people around me. So so I tend to take a moment. So that's kind of why I like don't want my phone in general. I will probably have it around just so I can like take videos, take pictures, all the things, but I definitely don't want to be posting in real time like on my stories and stuff, just because I want to be able to be present and with the people, and not taking that, like taking a picture of like, oh, this cool thing that we're doing, and then I'm going to be on my phone the rest of the time that we're together. So that's something that I'm pretty passionate about. I feel like over this past month, there were a lot of times where I would just like end up, like I didn't even know where I put my phone. We went to my parents' house for dinner, and my phone was like in the other room, like not even at the dinner table, which I think is something that I want to do in general. But my friends and I did this in college. We used to put our phones in the middle of the table, and everybody just had to like put them face down, and you could not look at them. I know some people, they would do that, and it's like the first person to pick up their phone, they had to pick up the tab. I think that's a great thing. Let's bring that back, which I think a lot of people are being better about it now. I think people are maybe being more aware of it, but I feel like there's been times where I go to dinner somewhere and I'll look around, and there's so many people that are just like sitting on their phones, and I'm like, why are you even at dinner together? Like you're both just sitting on Instagram, or you're both just like scrolling your phone. Like you're not actually communicating with each other. So why are you at dinner together? Like there's no point. Anyway, I could go on for hours about Instagram, about like phones period. I honestly kind of want to go back to, if I didn't, okay, that was crazy. Words, Baylor, put them together. If I wasn't going to have like the blue text, and if I could still like react to people's texts with a flip phone, best believe I will go back to a flip phone. I'm honestly half tempted to do that. I'm fully debating it. So one day, if you start to see my text come in as green, just know that I went back to a flip phone, because I'm here for it. I was actually at a worship night the other night with my sister for my church. We were at this worship night, and 3 boys, like probably not even teenagers, young guys, they were all standing in what looked like, I believe they were praying for each other. And it was like the sweetest moment to see. I was like, oh my goodness, somebody needs a picture of this. Like it was just so sweet to see the 3 of them just like praying over each other. Because how wild to see that kind of passion and fire for the Lord, to want to pray for like your siblings even. Like I just found that so, like, it was just such a sweet moment. I find myself getting like choked up at a lot of things lately, especially when it comes to that. It's just so sweet to see. Anyway, I love my church. But anyway, the boys were praying and their dad like walks up and he pulls out a flip phone, like to take a picture on his camera, which was just funny. But I was like, man, honestly, I might be in the same boat here soon. One, like, it's probably going to be a cool photo. It's probably going to look like super, I don't know, maybe those cameras are good now, actually. I don't know. Somebody report back. Or I'll report back. I'll go get one maybe and then report back. But yeah, it was just kind of, it was funny. It was funny to me to see him pull out a flip phone, but also I was like, no lie, I might do the same. Because like that's something that I care about with my phone. Like I like having a way of taking pictures, but like I have so many cameras. I can just grab one of my cameras. I can take pictures and videos, and I don't need a phone to do that. It just requires a little bit more effort to be able to put it onto like something to get all the content off, but that don't matter, especially if it's just for the memes. Like, come on, I need to start like printing photos as well. That's also side tangent, but like I really should, because I miss having photos to like physically look at rather than just like scroll through them on my phone camera. Anyway, but yeah, I think the things that have made me hesitant to get a flip phone is one, like my email and stuff like that. I typically need it, but I might just get a second phone. That's been something that's been on my mind a lot. Yeah, but that, I don't want to have green text. Now people like post polls and stuff in group texts, and so it's like I want to be able to respond to those, and if I have a flip phone I can't do that. And it's also going to make all their texts go green, I'm pretty sure. And you know, nobody likes that. Everybody gets annoyed when that happens. But maybe they actually, I think they were supposed to like get rid of that. I need to look into that, because maybe that'll entice me to want to actually do that. I feel like I'd be a little bit more stressed about notifications with a flip phone, because I feel like you probably can't mute them the same way that you can on an iPhone. Anyway, there's a lot of thoughts there, but I feel like the reasons why I like my phone, like having an iPhone, is for the camera. Although I have a camera, so I don't need my phone necessarily. The texting, I don't know that I can get around that one as much. Email, but I don't really need it, especially after work hours. And I guess that's it. Everything else, like, anyway, catch me with a flip phone next week. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, I'm trying not to get on social media until noon. So like, because I don't want that to be the first thing that I do. I feel like a lot of times there was a season where I would like, first thing that I would do when I would wake up is roll over, look at my phone, and I would get on social media. It's one thing to look at my phone, like right now when I open my front screen, like my lock screen is a verse, and when I open my phone I have like a widget so that it shows me the verse of the day from the Bible app. That's nice. I like seeing that. I like getting fed scripture first thing in the morning. But I feel like I had a really bad habit of getting on my phone and looking on Instagram, like seeing what I had missed overnight. Like, come on. I'm in the Central Time Zone. There's not a whole lot that's happened overnight. Let's be real. Anyway, so my plan is to not be on social media before noon, just so I don't start my day with that, because that's the last thing I want to do is start my day comparing myself to somebody else. No, thank you. I'm good. And then I also want to do a full fast again, like do a social detox once a year, whether it's for a week, whether it's for a month, whatever the case may be, but just like really taking time away from social media and from my phone as a whole. So anyway, those are my thoughts for like how I'm going to go moving forward. Okay, so my suggestions. I would recommend doing it. Like I said, I would do it for more than just a day if you can, but if not, choose a weekend day and get rid of your phone. Or if you don't even want to do that, like I said, go without your phone at dinner, or go for a walk without your phone. Or if you want to have your phone with you, put it in your bag, put it away, don't look at it. Just have time where you're looking up when you would typically be looking down, if that makes sense. But yeah, I would recommend doing like a no social for a week. Do it for a full weekend, maybe something like that. If you need to, just start with like no duplicate screens, like no two screens at once. So no TV plus phone, no phone plus computer, no TV plus computer. So that goes for like playing games, reading your email, scrolling on social media, whatever the case may be. I would also recommend doing it with someone. I did not have anybody that was also not on social media for the month, other than like my friend that I realized she's just like off social media in general. But I think having somebody else doing it with you makes you feel like you're not missing out so much. It also gives you somebody to hold you accountable. Again, Pastor Darren Whitehead, he talked about in his Hey It's the Lescos podcast, but also he talks about it, I think, in the sermon series and several other things, but he calls it, JOMO, the joy of missing out, instead of the fear of missing out. So when you have a lot of people doing it as well, like everybody's missing out. So like it just becomes this like yeah, none of us know about it. So anyway, if you're not the only one, it really helps. I think having a friend doing it with you will just be an encouragement and be helpful. I would also tell someone. You don't have to post about it. I get it. It's probably like a way of holding yourself accountable to post and be like, hey, I'm not going to be on social media. I also think, like I said, it's kind of like a disclaimer. I felt like I had to give that to people when I would see them, like, hey, by the way, I'm not on social media. So like, if you don't, like, if I'm not responding or if I'm not interacting, like, that's why. But I don't think you have to post about it. Just tell somebody so that somebody can keep you accountable, and like tell your close friends. Like if somebody messages you on the reg, I've got people that will send me stuff that they see or like send me places that they want to go to. So I like let them know. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm not going to be on social media. So like for the next month, I'm not going to respond. So if you want me to see something, you got to text me. I would remove if you're going to do it, remove the apps or just update your screen time. What I did is I just updated my downtime thing. You have to have some hours where it's not downtime. So mine were like between 1:58 a.m. and 2 a.m. So like I know I'm not going to be up even if I'm up super late. Like I'm not usually up past 1. That's usually kind of like where my cutoff is, or like 1:30. That doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen on occasion, especially if I get on like a creative flow. I will stay up later. But so I updated my downtime to where it was like I knew no matter what, I would be asleep during those hours, so I'd never be awake when my downtime was not happening. And then I also updated my allowed apps. So I like chose the apps that would always be allowed. Social media was not a part of those, but I wanted to make sure like my contacts or my work email or whatever it needed to be, like certain things that I needed to still, like my Bible app, I wanted to still be able to get on that. And I think for me personally, if I was in a habit of just like ignoring the downtime reminder of like, hey, you're out of minutes for the day. Do you want to extend? Where it says, oh yeah, give me 15 more minutes. If I got in a habit of doing that, then I was afraid I was going to do that with social media. It sounds like I have no willpower at all. I do have some, but I feel like social media is just so easy to get like sucked into it. So anyway, I was just trying to give as few barriers, I guess, to like being able to do what I wanted to do. And I guess more barriers to actually getting in. So I just wanted to make sure that like I wasn't getting in a habit of just ignoring the downtime so that I wouldn't like accidentally go to, I mean, truly like you kind of need to move your apps as well, because there's so many times that when I was on social media, like consistently, I would not be doing anything and just out of habit, I would click on Instagram and I was like, why did I get on here? Like I needed a calculator or I needed like my email, and I ended up on Instagram because it was just habit to do it. Look at how many times you open your phone. If you get your screen time thing, look at how many times it says you've touched your phone. Like it's absurd. And then it'll tell you what apps you go to when you first pick it up. That's convicting. That's some scary statistics and analytics to look at. But I do recommend it. Anyway, so I would update your always allowed app so that it does like allow you to get into apps that you truly do still use and need during that time, so that you don't get in a habit of just like ignoring the downtime reminder. And then I would just say do it. Like just try it. Do it for a week. Do it for a weekend. Just do it. Like you're not like, again, I would be so shocked if you were like, man, I really regretted doing that. I am more so on the side of like, should I fully get rid of social media? I'm not going to, again, because I like have too many creative things, and I kind of have to be on there if I want to do any of these things. But it has just made me realize how much happier and more joyful I am as a result of not being on social media. Like it's so, I think in the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, I think he talked about it, but he was talking about the dopamine hits and how the way that Instagram is designed and the actual like effect that it has on our body, it makes it to where you're so used to getting those dopamine hits that like you like are constantly craving the next one. And so I don't know. I wish I could like do it more justice, but it was something about like once you kind of take time away from it, then you find more joy because it's not like you're not getting inundated with it, I guess. You're not like so used to it maybe. I don't know. It was something to that effect. Read the book. I recommend. I'm not done with it, but if I think about it, I'll try and put it in the notes as well what they said. But anyway, the effect that like the actual like physical effect that it has on your body to be on social media is crazy. And once I got off of it, I truly just, after like a week, the joy, the peace that I had from not being on it was just great, which it also comes from the fact that I was just like more in tune with the Lord and like talking to him more. So like he is the ultimate source of joy and peace and comfort and all the things. So there's that. But it allowed me the time and the space to actually like make time for him. So that's probably where that joy and peace and all the things came from. So anyway, highly recommend it. I would totally recommend and encourage you to do it. I don't think you're going to regret it. I would be so shocked if you did. But yeah, so I'll try and add any links to any resources. Yeah, I hope you do it. If you do a little social media detox, social media fast, even if it's for a day, let me know how it goes. Let me know what you did. If you have any tips on like forming good habits with social media or with your phone as a whole, let me know. I don't know if I said this. I think I did, but you may not be somebody who's on social media. So if you're somebody who's been listening to this and you're like, I don't get on social media that much, that's really good. I'm very excited for you. I would inventory maybe where you're also spending other time, because maybe you're good about no digital things as a whole, but I feel like a lot of us have like something. So like if you're not on social media, maybe you're watching a lot of TV, maybe you're binging shows all the time. Or if you're not on social media, maybe you're online shopping a lot. So I would still take inventory of where you're spending time. There just might be areas where like you could better use that time and get more joy from that time. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't know, like I said, what podcast is going to be next. I think this one is probably the second one that I'm posting. So this will likely be episode 2. We'll see. We'll see if I can get it edited in time. But like I said, I'm probably going to post these out of order. So if you hear me in episode 5 say, hey, it's episode 2, that's why. But I'm excited. I'm excited for where this is going to go. I'm excited that it's officially out in the world. And thank you for listening. If you're listening to this or if you're watching this, thank you for being here. Let me know if there's anything that you want to chat about, because like maybe you and I can get on here and have a little convo that may be beneficial for other people to hear. Let me know what you think. Don't be posting negative, mean things, please. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I stand by that rule. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. Hope you have a lovely week. And let me know some things that you're grateful for. All right. I have said it before. I'll say it again. I don't like saying goodbye. So until next time, deuces. Bye.